For 3 years, Clara had been married to a man who treated her like a stranger. He never kissed her, he never told her he loved her, and every night, he slept in a different room. Clara had spent 3 painful years believing that her husband simply didn't love her anymore. But one evening, she accidentally discovered a hidden box inside his office. What she found inside made her question everything she thought she knew about her marriage. And before that night was over, Clara would discover why her husband had been pretending not to love her for 3 years. Before we continue, tell me where you're watching from in the comments below. And if you love emotional stories filled with secrets, betrayal, love, and unexpected twists, make sure you subscribe to The Shadowed Heart. Clara had once believed she had married the man of her dreams. His name was Daniel. He was intelligent, successful, handsome, and respected by everyone who knew him. When they first met, Daniel had been completely different. He was warm, he was attentive, he could make Clara laugh even on her worst days. For 6 months, they had slowly fallen deeply in love. Then Daniel proposed. Clara thought she had finally found the man she would spend the rest of her life with. But everything changed after their wedding. Daniel became distant. He stopped holding her hand. He stopped calling her the sweet names he used to call her. And whenever Clara tried to get close to him, he always found an excuse to leave the room. At first, Clara thought he was simply stressed. Then she began wondering if he had fallen in love with another woman. One night, she finally gathered the courage to ask him, "Daniel, do you still love me?" Daniel looked at her for several seconds. Then he quietly replied, "I think you should stop asking me that question." Those words broke something inside Clara. She turned away so he wouldn't see her tears. From that night forward, she stopped asking. But she never stopped wondering. 3 years passed. Clara and Daniel were still married, but they barely lived like husband and wife. Then one Friday evening, Clara went to a restaurant to meet her friend. While waiting for her, she suddenly noticed Daniel entering through the opposite door. But he wasn't alone. A beautiful blonde woman was walking beside him. Clara froze. Daniel smiled at the woman. It was a smile Clara hadn't seen on his face in years. The woman touched his arm, and Daniel didn't pull away. Clara felt her heart sink. She immediately hid behind a nearby wall and watched them sit at a table. The woman leaned toward Daniel and whispered something. Then she placed an envelope on the table. Daniel opened it. His face suddenly changed. He looked frightened. Clara couldn't hear what they were saying, but she watched Daniel quickly place the envelope inside his jacket. Then he stood up and left with the woman. Clara went home that night with only one thought running through her mind. My husband is hiding another woman from me. That night, Daniel came home late. Clara pretended to be asleep. She heard him walk into his office. The door closed. 10 minutes passed, then 20. Finally, Clara heard the office door open. Daniel walked toward the bedroom. Clara kept her eyes closed, but Daniel stopped beside the bed. For a moment, he simply stood there. Then he whispered, "I'm sorry, Clara." She heard him walk away. Clara opened her eyes. Those 3 words frightened her more than anything else. The next morning, Daniel left the house early. Clara couldn't live with the uncertainty anymore. She entered his office. At first, she found nothing unusual. Then she noticed a small wooden box hidden behind some books. There was a lock on it. Clara searched through the drawers until she found a key. Her hands were shaking as she opened the box. Inside were photographs. Dozens of them. There were photographs of Clara. Some had been taken recently. Others were from years earlier. But then she found something that made her heart stop. There was a photograph of Clara standing outside her childhood home. She turned it over. On the back was a date. 3 years before she had even met Daniel. Clara stared at the photograph in confusion. Why had Daniel been watching her before they even met? Then she found another photograph. Dotting and another. And beneath them was a handwritten letter. Clara opened it. The first sentence made her hands go cold. If Clara ever discovers this, tell her I did everything because I promised her father. Clara stopped breathing. Her father? Her father had died several years earlier. She continued reading. Daniel had known Clara's father long before Clara knew him. Her father had discovered that someone was planning to destroy the family business. He had secretly asked Daniel for help, but there was one problem. Clara was the only person who could inherit the company. And whoever wanted the company destroyed knew it. Daniel's job had been to protect Clara without letting her know she was in danger. But there was more. Much more. The letter explained that Clara's father had asked Daniel to marry her if necessary, because marriage would make it easier for him to remain close to her. Clara dropped the letter. She couldn't believe what she was reading. Was her entire marriage a lie? Had Daniel married her because of a promise to her father? Then she noticed something written at the bottom of the letter. Whatever happens, never tell Clara the truth until the danger is over. Clara began to cry. 3 years. 3 years of believing her husband didn't love her. 3 years of sleeping alone. 3 years of wondering what was wrong with her. And all this time, Daniel had been hiding something completely different. Suddenly, Clara heard the front door open. Daniel was home. She quickly wiped her tears and put everything back, but when she left the office, Daniel was standing in the hallway. He looked at her. Then he looked toward the office. His face became pale. Clara, she shook her head. Don't lie to me anymore. Daniel closed his eyes. You found the box. Who is she? Clara asked. The woman from the restaurant. Daniel was silent. Who is she? Clara repeated. Finally, he answered. Her name is Rebecca. She's an investigator. Clara stared at him. Daniel explained that Rebecca had been helping him track the people who had been trying to take control of Clara's father's company. The woman wasn't his lover, she was the person helping him protect Clara. But Clara wasn't finished. She held up the letter. Then why did you never tell me? Daniel looked down. Because your father made me promise. And you thought I would rather believe you hated me? Daniel's eyes filled with tears. I thought if you hated me, you'd stay away from me. Clara couldn't speak. Daniel continued. There were people watching you. I couldn't tell you who they were. I couldn't even let them know how much I loved you. Clara's heart broke. You loved me. Daniel looked directly into her eyes. I never stopped. Daniel finally told her everything. 3 years earlier, someone had tried to arrange an accident that would have killed Clara. Her father had discovered the plan. Before he died, he made Daniel promise to protect her. Daniel agreed. But he knew that if the people behind the plan discovered he truly loved Clara, they would use her against him. So he created distance. He acted cold. He slept in another room. He refused to show affection. Every painful thing he had done had been part of the plan. But there was one thing Daniel had never planned for. He had fallen even more deeply in love with Clara. He had spent 3 years protecting the woman he loved, while making her believe she was unwanted. Clara began crying. Why didn't you just tell me? Daniel whispered. Because I was terrified that telling you the truth would put you in danger. Clara stood there, trying to understand how the man she had spent 3 years resenting had actually been sacrificing his own happiness to protect her. But just when Clara thought everything was finally over, Daniel's phone rang. He answered. His expression suddenly changed. It was Rebecca. Daniel, she said urgently. We found him. Daniel's face became serious. Who? The man who ordered everything. Daniel froze. Where is he? Rebecca gave him an address. Daniel slowly looked at Clara. Then he whispered. He's been closer than we thought. Clara's heart began racing. Who is it? Daniel didn't answer. He simply looked at her. Then he said something that Clara would never forget. It's someone you've trusted your entire life. Clara stood completely still. For 3 years, she had believed her husband didn't love her. She had believed another woman had taken his heart. She had believed her marriage was a lie. But the truth was far more complicated. Daniel had been protecting her, and now the person who had been trying to destroy her family was closer than she could ever imagine. But who was this person? Was it someone from Clara's family? Someone from the company? Or someone she had trusted from the very beginning? Tell me in the comments who you think is behind everything. And if you were Clara, would you forgive Daniel after discovering the truth? If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to The Shadowed Heart, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next story. I'll see you in the next one.